Hello, I'm Daniella Levins and I'm a product design student at Dundee University, and this is my take on the project of daylight photodynamic therapy, which has been transformed into an at-home kit. So I started this project off actually as part of a module I was doing in my third year, and through further collaboration with the NHS Tayside department, it actually became a more of an external project, which I'm still pursuing. So after speaking to my current collaborators, this is my take on the brief and what I wanted to achieve from a box kit which allowed patients to go through this procedure at home. So initially, obviously, if we're aiming this towards a more of an older audience, we want a clear and easy navigation for them as they go through the box and the instructions that they have to follow. Secondly, this is more of a personal development as well. I want to look further into patient journeys and user experience as a design aspect, and I thought this was a perfect opportunity to really discover that and work my way around something that I've not done much of before. So this is where it kind of goes on to an instruction-based output is really important to consider user experience and how the entire interaction plays out. Since this is a postable kit, it was important to ensure that all of the components and the box itself is easily transportable and everything is safe within, all the internal components are safe. And then lastly, just to create a professional but also not a very high-tech medical look for the box itself, this is something that patients should be comfortable being around and using. So here, my collaborators, I was introduced to this entire project by Apollo Mahoney, and I closely worked with Susan Newell and Carol Goodman, who are both nurses within this department. I've also closely been introduced to other members of this department, but these are the main people that I've been working with from day one. So I was very lucky to actually have been provided the base research for this project to be able to go ahead. Now, this is some answers from 35 patients in the age ranging between 50 and 90. Now, this entire procedure is aimed at older patients, and as you can see, quite a lot of them wanted more of a digital output, something to help them either secure messaging system and have direct contact with someone within the department. They wanted a video guide, live weather predictions, direct contact details, as I mentioned before. But what actually stood out to me is that only 50% of this audience group owned a smartphone in the first place. So integrating a digital aspect into this project would have been a little bit more difficult, and so I decided to kind of stay on the more manual side of things and keep it to a basic box with some instructions inside. This storyboard could straight away come a little bit confusing, but it was more for myself to decipher this entire procedure, and this was an illustrative way for me to have a look at all the steps that come under this procedure itself, whether it's at home or within the 9 wells. These are a few of my thumbnail sketches within my sketchbook. So in the first image here, this is where I initially started considering maybe a digital aspect of it, an app or a complementary device which arrives within the box, something to help you guide through the procedure. But then, as I mentioned before, after analysing the research which I was provided with, it made more sense to just stick to something simple. So the next image here provides an insight into how I looked into the segregation of the box and where the components would go, and how I felt these partitions were really important to make this entire step 1 to 3 procedure really easy to follow. And in the last image here, this is where I had consideration of how do we spread out all the vital information into easy to follow steps. And that kind of links back to the different partitions and how I separated each step, a bunch of steps under one major step, if that makes sense. So here are some of the components and contents of the kit which I was sent to help me work on a more scale model. So these things that were sent to me by the department really helped me visualize the size of the box and what it really needs to encompass and how fragile some of these things are. So luckily it's quite a lightweight box, and the components themselves are not would be familiar to a patient. So it was really nice because it allowed me to integrate these instructions in a different way, because the patients actually know what an applicator looks like and what the sun cream looks like. It's something they have seen before and have used before. It was just, how do you make sure that they use these things in the correct steps? So what you can see in this image here is everything apart from an abrasive tool, which after a few discussions we have finally settled on what the abrasive tool will be, and a prodrug which the patient themselves actually has to collect at their local pharmacy through a written prescription. So here are a few examples of just me, of my development, of me working through with the initial prototype box, and some just background sketches and workspace photographs. Next is where I wanted to highlight the importance of imagery and my choices behind the images here. So all the graphics you see are hand-drawn by myself, and this was my way of visualizing what an older patient would want to see alongside the written instructions. So the instructions themselves would be very simple and clear sentences or prompts which will tell them to put the cream on the applicator or wash their hands. But just having this image alongside that prompt makes it so much more easy to follow, especially for older patients who might either have eyesight problems or any of the sort, and having this visual really aids the entire process. So this is an example of how my all the steps, which go under 3 sections, are then integrated into the kit itself. So these here are actually the updated steps. It goes from 1 to 15 now, and everything is broken down to each detail and is numbered in a very easy way for you to follow. And the partitions are set in a way that for each section, whatever you require, whether it's sun cream, whether it's an applicator, or whether it's an abrasive tool, they will be under the partition of where the instruction is set. This is my initial prototype. This is what I actually submitted for my university module project. But this is now actually an initial prototype, because the developed prototype is this. Slightly different. There's a slightly difference in shape, but the whole concept of it is the same. The steps all remain more or less the same. There's just a few differences of suggestions to recycle the box and how you would return some of the components and what would you want to dispose of. Here are just a few images of a user interacting with the box. It brings the box alive essentially. It shows you how a person would work with it, and it just shows that someone is actually comfortable handling the box and going through the procedure. This is a final storyboard which I created once again for my project. This is like a broken down version of the initial one that I showed previously, and this is more of like for other people to understand it as well and how I perceived it. So this is a very broken down way of just showing how the whole procedure would go ahead with. And this is a link to a video tour of the initial prototype box, which feel free to have a look at. But that's my presentation. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you very much for watching.